UAE. We would like to welcome you all to this webinar. Okay, we have around 4 minutes to go. And while waiting for others, I would appreciate if you can click on the link that I've shared in the chat, the link for the background of Mr. Chua Kin Man. I believe that there are a lot of things that we can learn from what Mr. Chua Kin Man has done, especially in the aspect of enhancing the competency of the area of teaching and learning. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Chow, we have 1 minute to go, so we can, while waiting for others, ladies and gentlemen, please mute your microphone. And if you have a question, please type your question in the chat box, okay? And begin your question with the letter Q. And alternatively, you can also unmute yourself if, let's say, you would like to ask any question to Mr. Chua Kin Man. You can just unmute it. Otherwise, you can just type it in the chat box, beginning with letter Q. Okay. Okay, it's already 9 o'clock, Mr. Chua. Can we just start off now?
Sure.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera to everybody. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On behalf of Center for Development of Academic Excellence, we would like to welcome you all to the webinar series brought to you by this center. And this webinar series are part of this continuing program designed by us to enhance the competency for academics. So today, Mr. Chua Kin Man will be sharing with us about how to use Discord for inquiry-based learning. What is actually Discord and what is actually inquiry-based learning? How can Discord be used to enhance the strategies in terms of teaching and learning, specifically for inquiry-based learning? And ladies and gentlemen, to benefit more participants, we also live stream this session, this webinar, through our CDAE YouTube. And just a reminder for staff from USM, CPD points will be given to all of you after you have completed the feedback form that will be given at the end of the session. Let me introduce to all of you the background of Mr. Chua Kin Man. Mr. Chua is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Language and Communication, University of Malaysia, Sarawak, and majoring in educational technology, computational linguistics, learning sciences, analytics, and instructional design. He has won several awards at national and international levels for various innovations in teaching and learning, as well as assistive technology. He was also the recipient of UNIMA's Academic Award for the Teaching Award category in 2014, as well as Best E-Learning Facilitator at International University E-Learning Carnival 2016. And he is now actually a candidate, a PhD candidate, yeah, for at our University Science Malaysia. Yeah, welcome to you, Mr. Chua Kim Wan. We meet again for this webinar series. Yeah, how are you, Mr. Chua?
Okay, fine.
Yeah, good. Okay, without further ado, I would like to pass the mic to you, Mr. Chua Kim Wan. Okay, this webinar session will be a 2-hour session. Hopefully, all of you will stick with us until 11 o'clock. So over to you, Mr. Chua Kim Wan.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ahmad, for the quick introduction. Yeah, I think we met last week. A lot of you perhaps have joined my previous session on how to put it, the virtual escape room. And how to put it, today I will be covering again in a different kind of like different tool with a different focus. I know a lot of people, after the virtual escape room session, they kind of come to me and say, yeah, I mean, there's so many tools and so many application out there. How do you decide which one is the best? My approach in a way is I always start off with something like a theoretical background or let you understand the pedagogical aspect of it. Then you can choose any tools which you are comfortable in. But I normally go for the easiest. Like last week, when we talk about virtual escape room, I introduced you to Genially because to me, that is one of the easiest way to create virtual escape room. So you can try other application, but as long as you get the concept of virtual escape room, I think you're kind of fine. You can explore any tool. Some people have used Microsoft Teams only, to create the virtual escape room, or even WebEx using the breakout rooms to create the virtual escape room. But bottom line is, it's always good to go both ways. I know there's a lot of argument about which one comes first. Do you learn the pedagogical aspect first, or you learn the tools first? To me, it goes either way, because sometimes you don't get the idea, but once you try the tools, you say, I think I can do something out of this. So it doesn't have to be always like theoretical all the time. It could be, you can start with the tool first and then you inject some pedagogical aspects. So that's my way of looking at how we look at educational tools. It doesn't have to be one way altogether. So today, of course, I will be introducing you to another tool, which you might have heard. So I'm going to go for my screen sharing now. You can see my screen. Is my screen popping up just in case?
Yes. Very clear.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So this is the workshop number 2. Last workshop on WoW, Wonders of Web 2.0, we talk about virtual escape room using Genially. Today I'll be using Discord. You might have heard of Discord, or you might have tried before. That's good. But I link it with inquiry-based learning. There are many things that you can link with Discord, but today my focus would be inquiry-based learning, simply because there are certain things that within Discord, the features within Discord that you can maximize for the benefit of the learners when you're using inquiry-based learning. Basically, I'm not saying that this code is only used for this one. You can use for many purposes. You can even use gamification and all that. But today, my focus would be on inquiry-based learning. And I'm sure you have heard of this inquiry-based learning many, many times as well throughout your academic career, especially when you're attending webinar like this, all right? Let's start off with this one. A simple quiz. You know, I'm giving you A, B, C. Can you tell me where is the prisoner hiding? So can you quickly type in the chat box? Those following on the YouTube, you can just type in the comment box. I'll just quickly glance through later. But those of you who are in WebEx, you can type in the chat box. I just want to see how you think in this sense. So can you look at this picture? There are three houses, A, B, and C. Can you tell me where is the prisoner hiding? And perhaps next to your answer, you can just give a quick reason for it. If you have any reason for it, you know, like if you say C, maybe just C dash, what is the possible reason behind? Okay, I have a lot of C in my Webex chat box. Dr. Marlena is talking about B. Okay, the one odd one is B. Nobody talk about A. Some say B. Think about it for a while. You can give your reason. If you have those who are following from YouTube, you can answer this as well. Just a quick one. B car seem to be parked further back to escape. All right, that could be. Right. Any other reason? Nobody has picked A so far. C, he he misses the swimming pool. Yeah, why not? Right. You're a prisoner and then you kind of miss the swimming pool and you want to be there. Any other feedback? So far I have like about 10. On Facebook, I think Dr. Manraj talk about A because of the car position, right? I think A because the car is parked the other way around, so easy to escape is necessary. All right, good. More spaces to hide in. That's also a good reasoning. Okay, now this question is kind of open, right? As you can see, where is prisoner hiding? I don't even give you any context. I didn't even tell you much about the tree houses or whatsoever. But I just pop up a picture like this, and then suddenly I ask you a question. But you can give a lot of feedback already based on this picture. Now, if I were to give you a bit of context, if I go to the next picture, here that, would you like to change your answer? All right. If you would like to change your answer, you can type your answer. If you still hold on to your answer, then fine. All right. Detective was hired to hunt down an escaped prisoner. He managed to limit his search to these three houses. After a closer look at the aerial photo, he knew immediately where the prisoner was hiding. He knew immediately. So how do you tackle this context now? Based on the same picture, the same question, but now I give you a bit of context. All right. I have 2A, still a lot of C's here. B, any other feedback, just in case? You can type in. Okay, now some change your mind already because after some reasoning, you probably change your mind. Now, my question now, apart from the answer, I'll tell you the answer in a bit, but my question now, does the context given up there, the situation up there, kind of help you to formulate a better answer, or it doesn't help at all, or your answer, well, remain the same? With or without the context up there, you still manage to get your answer, or maybe kind of like reason out the most possible answer, based on the two comparisons just now. One is without the context, the other one is with the context. Which one actually helps you more? Yeah, I mentioned about the context didn't really help. Okay, any other things? I'm still going to offer A. Yeah, Wendy also A. But apart from the answer, just probably you can tell me, does the context actually help? Giving that kind of context up there helps you to get a better answer, or you are still depending on the visual in getting your answer? Just a quick warming up for this one before I proceed further. Anyone would like to share? I get one there. You say your context did not help. Any other comments? Yeah, a lot of it actually say the context doesn't help. Maybe the phrase aerial photo, he knew immediately where. I think the context helps. Why? Dr. Tan, you know, perhaps you can type, or you can unmute yourself if you want to talk. I just want to know why, you know. I mean, a lot of people says that when you do whatever kind of like problem-based learning or whatever, the context actually helps. But in this case, does it help? Wendy
Can you
says
hear me?
help. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it helps because it gives us kind of a hint that definitely it's there and
Mm-hmm.
it's in
Mm-hmm.
the house
Yeah.
and it's from the top down, you can see something. So it
Yeah.
kind of guides us to where we want to look. So to me, the context helps rather
Yeah.
than where's the prisoner hiding. It can be underneath the umbrella, it can be underneath the car, but we know now it's in the house. So
Yes.
sort
Yeah.
of
You kind of
assume,
make
yeah.
use of the context to help you get a better answer, maybe, right? I think that's a
Yeah.
good one.
I don't have the
Um,
answer, but I may have
yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks for that. That's really nicely put. Um, Dr. Christine, you said psychologically it helps. In what sense? What do you
Hi,
mean by
good morning.
Yeah,
Probably as I typed just now, initially
yeah,
I thought it was C
yeah,
because of the places to hide in. But then
yeah,
when you shared, a detective was hired to hunt down an escaped prisoner, and then
mhm,
after a closer look at the aerial photos, he knew immediately.
yeah.
So I guess the word immediately made
Is
me
A.
change my mind that
Yeah,
the prisoner was ready to escape as soon as possible.
yeah, yeah. So you kind of you make use of the context given again, like the word immediately to kind of get the answer. Like you change your mind to A now, right? Yeah, thank you. That that's a good way of putting explaining how sometimes when we give context up here, um, in a way it helps. In some cases where we put up the context or scenario, it actually makes the whole thing even more how to put it, more rigid in a way. Just now when I showed you the first one, I get a lot of variety, you know, I get a lot of CB and all that, right? You can see like it's quite open and you give your own reasoning for that. Whoever go for C will say, you know, you miss the swimming pool and all that. Whoever go for B will have a further, you know, the car is slightly parked a bit further down and all that, things like that. But the moment I give you a context like this, suddenly you can see a change in the feedback as well. I mean, the answers given. In a way, a lot of you kind of change your mind to C, you know, A, sorry, and you can see the shift a bit. So without context is good in terms of getting a variety of possibility because there's just so many possibilities here. But when you narrow it down with a scenario, it kind of make it even more rigid in a way, right? But I like the argument. Now, to be honest with you, the answer, of course, I mean, this is taken from the website because I just pick one website. But if you look at the picture, to me, you can actually justify A, B, or C depending on how you want to justify it. But of course, the answer given was A because this is the odd one out, right? Because you can see the car, these two are positioned towards the entrance or the garage, right? But this one somehow is, you know, facing towards the road. In a case where you need to escape, this would be the easiest one, right? So these two, regardless of the positioning of the car, because it's facing the garage, it's still quite hard to escape because you need to reverse, right? So it doesn't make much of a difference in terms of the distance. But logically, you would say A because the positioning of the car is telling you that. That's why I think the context when like what a lot of you mentioned about immediately, it means the detective didn't even have to go, you know, into detail. Just a quick glance like this, he would be able to identify it because of this. Like, the car is positioning away. But again, notice that it depends on the visual quality as well. If I show you a very blur picture of this one, AB, I think you will had a hard time as well. Because like this one, you might miss out the side mirrors, right? I'm sure a lot of you didn't really notice the side mirror, position. But if I were to use a better car, a real car, I mean, the visual is better, you can see a change in the feedback as well. Again, you see the stimulus that you use, your context, your images sometimes plays a very important role in shifting the answers, right? But this is how, you know, we talk about inquiry-based learning in a way. When it's too open like this, you actually appreciate the diversity of thoughts. Like I have never thought of like the prisoner misses the swimming pool, right? I have never thought of that, but somehow he managed to give me. And then just now somebody actually mentioned the distance of the parking, right? Which again, you might not have thought of, right? But with a context, sometimes you narrow down, which also why sometimes when we give context or scenario, we have to be very careful of what we want. Do we really want a standardized answer like A, everyone go for A, or do we want to appreciate diversity of reasoning? So in inquiry-based learning, I think it's the process that counts. Sometimes you don't really want them to go for A, maybe, as long as they can justify, like some of you actually justify B because of the distance of the parking and all that. I mean, if as long as you can reason out, well, in a way, you might get the answer right? But in this case, if it's real life, if I change it to really real life, if you are a detective, and if you are a prisoner inside the house, does it make sense that you would actually use the car to escape? Because it's easier to hunt you down if you drive, right? So I would have just, you know, escaped in any of these houses. I would just escape by running out of the house, going to the woods or maybe somewhere, you know, outside rather than driving because well, because if you're driving, then it's easier to hunt you down. Like now, if I see you driving this car with the plate number and all that, it's easier for me to detect. Okay, so this is how, you know, we want inquiry based to happen, where answers are there, but you make your chance to kind of reason out the most likelier, you know, outcome or answers, whatever you want to call it. But as long as you are managed to, you know, as long as you are able to justify it, because that's the process that we want our learners to have, right? Not just like, okay, everyone is saying A, so I'll go for A without any thinking going on, without any reasoning behind. All right. Okay, that's just to warm you up a bit. I hope that's okay. Okay. Now, some feedback on YouTube. Lily actually said I will go for A because that looks like nearer to the woods, so easier for me to run. Yeah, could be. All right. So these are all part of it. All right. Again, I'm just playing around with the context and the visual. There are a lot of things that will actually you know, will actually affect the outcome. All right. Okay, let's go on a bit. Thank you for your feedback. I really appreciate all your feedback. So a quick one on this one. I'm sure you have heard of IBM many times. It's quoted, or it's how to put it? It's packaged with different types of names, right? Of course, a bit of history because I love to talk about the philosophy behind it. It starts off with this classical pragmatism by Charles Sanders Peirce. If you have heard of Charles Sanders Peirce, then you might have heard of semiotics, the you know, the science and all that, because it started from him. We started to look at our, you know, our surrounding or our reasoning beyond just a structured kind of scientific method where you just follow A, B, C. You actually relate to your surrounding, your environment. So he started off this kind of concept where anything will have a different meaning depending on the context, if I were to paraphrase him in a way. So what you see as A may be different from what another person sees as A, you know. If I show the same picture just now, like this one just now, right? Some may argue that my house doesn't have a garage and I don't know what's the rectangular box next to the house, right? They may not know what is that rectangular on your picture, because not all houses has a garage like that or a parking porch like that, maybe, right? So things like that. So again, this is where it comes from. And of course, we know the father of inquiry-based learning is always given to John Dewey. His followers, you know, has done tremendous job in promoting this inquiry-based learning, and he packaged it to education setting. He initially package it as experiential learning, but not in that, where I think you now know that David Cobb's experiential learning model is the one that, you know, right on Dewey's concept of relating to the surrounding. You know, you don't learn alone. And then you have people like Vygotsky suddenly talking about zone or proximal development, where you don't learn alone, you need help, you need scaffolding and all that. And of course, you have Jerome Bruner talking about discovery learning. All these people actually write on the same concept, where we don't learn in isolation. We make use of the surrounding, of the context, and just observe how all these children in school or in kindergarten learn. If you go to kindergarten and all you are doing is just following through textbook and answering all the textbook and answering all the questions in the textbook, then maybe that's not the right kindergarten because it should be cultivating that curiosity and a lot of big questions. So, but today my focus would be what Littman has done, as you can see in the slide. He has a very nice book, Thinking Education. To me, he's really, really underrated. A lot of people never heard of his name. They might have heard of all these big names like Vygotsky, Bruno Piaget, John Dewey, but Lippmann is like the underdog in a way. But he wrote very good books like Thinking Education, where he created the first concept of community of inquiry, COI. But when we talk about community of inquiry, we always give credit to Garrison, Anderson, and Archer. The big three. If you have into all these educational webinars and all that, you'll hear this community of inquiry given to Garrison, Anderson, and Archer. But the origin of this is Littman, because he repackaged what Dewey has done and call it like this. A classroom is a type of community of inquiry which leads to questioning, reasoning, connecting, debating, challenging, and developing problem-solving techniques. You can see all these are very, very constructivism based. And of course, people have been arguing whether constructivism is really a theory, because you're just combining all this cognitive development theory and the social context, social cultural context into that part. But I think we are quite confident to say that it is a theory on its own now, right? I mean, based on all the research done and all that. But I don't want to give you a lot of facts on this. I just want you to know that inquiry-based learning has been there for so many years. Of course, some people even relate it to the days of Socrates and also Confucius, right? Because you use this kind of reasoning process and all that. But yeah, this is the model I told you. If you're talking about online context, which is the focus of today, the one that I want to focus on today is on the online context, then perhaps one of the best model to refer to is Garrison, Anderson, and Archer, the one that I mentioned, Garrison et al., that you might have seen this many times, social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. The earlier version in 2000 has only these three things, but they changed this a lot along the years through many, sorry, I didn't finish my word here. I've gone through many iterations of research and validation, all right? In a way, they keep on changing this according to the context, the outer layer here. As you can see, there's a communication medium, educational context, discipline standard, application, because the outer layer here keep on changing in a way. Like communication medium, nobody has heard of Discord maybe 2 years or 3 years ago, right? Everyone was talking about maybe WhatsApp and all that. But 20 years down the memory lane, you might not even heard of Facebook and things like that. So this thing keep on changing. And even the educational context as well. It depends, if you're in the United States, it's different environment. If you're in Malaysia, it's a different environment because the demand of the context is different. And then you have discipline standard, all these standard that you have, curriculum standards, you have, like in our case, MQA standard, professional body standards, all these are always at the outer layer. Why? One thing good I like about this COI is they put this as outer layer, because it's like this core remain the same. You just adjust according to what is happening in the outer layer. So you don't think whatever you have done for cognitive presence or teaching presence or social presence are like something that you only do for now. You might want to think about what happened in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years. Something could change, right? And the outer layer or this bigger circle will actually affect whatever you're doing, and to create a really good educational experience. So this is community inquiry model. It's called COI model because it was based on what Lippmann has done earlier. And the whole process of this is like, why am I talking about this? Because it has this communication medium, and if you search on community inquiry model, they are applied. I mean, this model is applied into mostly online contexts using different tools. You might have seen this used in forum, right? They study about forum exchanges in Facebook and all that. But today I'll be talking about how we can talk about this in the context of Discord, right? So some guiding principle for inquiry-based learning before we move on to Discord. Of course, it has to be questions and curiosity based in a way, because you want to provide opportunities for learners to test their own theories, right? And then you have learning ownership. Now, depending on how you want to look at the level of the inquiry-based learning, because the extreme of it will be like total freedom, where the learner decide everything from even the questions, even the answers, even the justification, the output are all based on learner ownership, or sometimes related to learner autonomy. Again, that is like a spectrum. It's not like a binary thing or yes no thingy. It's a spectrum depending on how you want to shift. Maybe for this unit you want to go a bit more on learner autonomy, more freedom to that, and then another task you shift back. So it's like you play around with the spectrum or the continuum, and then you move the slider, right? Active learning, of course, you cannot do inquiry-based learning without being active, meaning to say, like now, if I'm just talking, I don't ask you question to respond and all that, then it becomes less active and you cannot appreciate the value of inquiry-based learning. But the earlier part just now, when I showed you a picture and I would like you to participate, there's one way to encourage you to be active. And of course, flexibility. This is something that a lot of educators, lecturers kind of dislike inquiry-based learning in a way because of the flexibility, because you can't really have you can't call inquiry-based learning lesson or activity to become like everyone giving you the same answer in a way. I mean, you can, but that would be like so teacher-centered. But to really appreciate the value of inquiry-based learning, you really need to make sure that the students are also giving you something which is quite useful and meaningful. Maybe not too extreme, we are not asking them to like imagine something which is really, really out of the world kind of thing, which may not be practical now, but maybe in the future, but not now. Then you try to pull them back to reality a bit and see whether you can help them out. But this is the part where it's quite tricky, because when you give a lot of flexibility, it actually disturbs your assessment, your delivery, and a lot of lecturers are not comfortable doing this. And because like the typical notion would be, I have a lot of things to cover, right? I have to cover this in 1 or 2 hours, so I cannot afford to give you too much freedom. Later on, you take up all my time, things like that. So in a way, if you really want to apply inquiry-based learning, I mean, I'm sure you have done it, because another modern version of inquiry-based learning is called problem-based learning. But problem-based learning is slightly more narrowed because it's really depending on the trigger, but it's the same concept or same foundation behind it. It all comes down from inquiry-based learning. The thing is, when it's inquiry-based learning, is very messy, and you don't want to deal with the mess, or if possible, you want to save your hassle of clearing out the messes and all that. You try to deal with the slightly more standardized kind of output or answer. But I think we know this is something that we have to strive towards, so that we don't how to put it, we don't produce graduates who are just like one way of thinking. Okay, so there are a few phases. I'm sure you might have seen one video. If you go to YouTube, YouTube and then you search what is inquiry-based learning, there's one video talking about this, very nicely done. And in that video, it talks about these phases, the 4 phases of inquiry-based learning. And this is the actual paper that they refer to. Last week when we talk about escape room, I also talk about a few papers on that, because I love to refer to all these educational research review kind of papers, because they give you a bit of background on what's happening, so that you know that you are doing it right. Sorry. Then we'll go down to the 4 phases. Just a quick one. It means if you want to do inquiry-based learning, these are some of the 4 phases that you need to go through in a way, right? Or 4 phases that you can consider in structuring your lesson or your course, right? So phase 1 is orientation, where you set the stage, you set the topic or maybe the theme. Or some people, if you treat phase 1 as like a whole semester thing, some people use it like a thematic approach, where you do role playing, right? So the whole year, not the whole year, the whole semester, you hold on to one theme. Like some people use Harry Potter, some people use Marvel, superheroes and all that. I mean, depending on your learners. So that set the stage of the orientation. But I normally encourage, if you would like to go for this thematic approach, try to relate all those topics that you have in your course to the theme, so that it doesn't seem too extreme. For example, if you're teaching what can I know, let's say if you're teaching what maybe not a good example. Let's say if you're teaching language, maybe language A, right? And your theme is Marvel superheroes. It's quite hard to fit into the Marvel superhero storyline if you're talking about all these topics that you have in that language course, for example, unless you change it in a way where all these characters are speaking different languages and all that. But to me, that's what I'm trying to tell you. The theme that you have chosen should be quite suitable to the topic or your course in a way, so that it doesn't seem too extreme, right? Or if you're teaching environmental studies and whatnot, then try to relate to something more relevant to those kind of theme, rather than suddenly you introduce perhaps Harry Potter, because Harry Potter is like, all this magic and all that. If you want to relate to environment, then you have to kind of change the whole understanding of the storyline of Harry Potter, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of creativity as well. So you might not want to spend too much time on that, right? Okay, the whole point of orientation is to let the learners understand the whole scope, the theme. It can be individual as a lesson, as a weekly thing or monthly thing, or maybe it's a whole semester, depending. And then conceptualization, where you go for the big questions, and from the question they can generate hypothesis. This is more too scientific, of course. If you are doing all the science, pure sciences, then you might want to go straight to the hypothesis part, or even start with questions and then derive the hypothesis, and that part. Then once they are clear with this, the questions are then they get the concept right, they get the questions right, then they go and explore, find resources, argue among themselves, discuss among themselves, go and do experiment if it's science. It could be all kind of experimentation if they want. And then after that, they have to interpret the data. All right. Once they interpret the data, of course, the last phase will be the conclusion, where you gather the output. And the output could be in the many formats, depending on what you want. Like normally we would ask them to present, or send in report, or send in a different portfolio in a digital format, or even a collection of things and all that, depending on what you want to do it. All right. So now, if you really want inquiry-based learning to work, you might want to think of orientation first and then conclusion first. You start with the end in mind, in a way. What do you want them to produce? If you want them to produce a portfolio, for example, then from there you work backwards and see more or less what kind of question that you can use to guide them. So this is more structured in a way where you are still there, giving a bit of guiding questions, and then they can explore other questions if they want to. So the thing is, this is the part where the middle part is the one that will go, a bit messier. And depending on your comfort level, if you do not like, handling all this mess, then you might want to kind of restrict a bit in this part. For example, experiment. If you don't want to deal with the openness, you can say, I only want you to use tool A, for example. But they can explore other things like resources. But for the tool, you limit to one, for example. Or if you don't want to limit, then you let them be open. So depending on how comfortable you are dealing with all these possibilities, because the more opportunities you give them to explore or to experiment and all that, they will come back with a lot of things. But if they are able to come up with the same conclusion or the same output, then it's fine. I mean, same output in a way is like different things, but same learning outcome, right? That's the bottom line. It's not about like having the same thing all together, but they achieve the same learning outcome. Okay, so these are 4-level inquiry, the one that I told you just now. Depending on how comfortable you are, you can see like the teacher involvement here. If you want a confirmation inquiry, then you have to be there all the time. This is like confirm. Like you show them something, you want them to do like a confirmation or justification of what you have taught them, things like that. So it's a bit more teacher-centered. These two are a bit more teacher-centered. And then guided inquiry, where you have some research questions or some guiding question that you give them. And then of course the open to inquiry, there's no question at all. You give them the context, they go and explore and they discover possible questions. So different group will get different questions. I mean, they generate different questions and then they come up with a different outcome in a way, but still achieving the same the goal that you want. Just that the the messy part, they can go all over and then come back to the same learning outcome that you want them to achieve. So depending on how comfortable you are, but more normally in higher education, 2 and 3 are quite popular. Like for example, problem-based learning, it goes under between these 2 and 3. All right, so quite popular. But once in a while, I think if you are comfortable with that, you don't have to do the same thing throughout your semester. One of your assessment, maybe one of your formative assessment, maybe you can consider changing it into something like this, where it's a bit more open. So they generate their own question, they generate their own collection of portfolio of materials and all that, and then they come back with you and report the outcome. It's like they go out and do this kind of adventure and then come back and report to you, things like that. Okay. So now we're going to go for Discord. Any questions so far, just in case, before I move on to Discord now? I think those are just some theoretical background so that I don't suddenly introduce you to something that maybe is too new to you. Just in case. Any questions so far about inquiry-based learning? I'm checking YouTube. No? Just in case. Ada tak?
So far, no question, Mr.
No
Chua.
question, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so inquiry-based learning. Now let's go to Discord now. I think this is the part where I need probably your participation of it. So I know some of you are following this session via mobile, but if you have installed Discord already, then you can join the activity. But let me just quickly go through with you a bit on Discord. The screenshot I'm showing you, like this one, is Prof. Karim's usage of Discord as a curation hub. If you have followed him, I think you're pretty sure inside here, I think some of you, where he actually curate a lot of things and put it in the Discord in his server. And then this is mine. I use for my class. But this one is quite interesting as well. If you know Dr. Hafiz Hanif from UPSI, sorry, you will probably follow his sharing on this one using Discord for slightly a bit more thematic approach with gamified element using a Harry Potter theme or role playing, right? So he divided his students into Gryffindor, all these 4 houses, and then they have to compete and collect points every week, according to the lecture, things like that. So you can use Discord for many possibilities, but today my focus would be what are the features in Discord that we can use for inquiry-based learning, right? So why Discord? Just in case you're wondering, it's group-oriented and collaborative, of course, because you can group them. You can see just now from the screenshot. You can group your students. You can actually assign like one part of the group is only accessible by those groups. So you can limit other people from joining, which is quite hard for you to control if you're using WhatsApp, Telegram, or even your LMS. Some of your learning management system may not be able to limit the group viewing as well, right? Some can, some cannot, but in Discord, it's quite easy to do that. Can assign role, like I told you, so you can divide them into different roles. If you are dividing into 4 groups, you can actually divide them according to different roles. All right, and then you can even give power to some. For example, like you would like to select the class rep to be the leader and all that. So the leader will have different access. You can create channels and groups, and then it comes together with voice, video, and screen sharing. So it's all in one. You don't need to have another platform to do your screen sharing, to share your lecture or whatever. You just start, and then it's already in the same platform. You have also a lot of useful robots. These bots are quite useful in helping you to manage your Discord better. So I'm going to share 1 or 2 in a bit, and of course allow threaded discussion. What happened in Telegram what happens in Telegram in WhatsApp is the chat will go up and down, and then sometimes you miss a lot of things because you have to scroll and read one by one. In Discord, you can kind of control them by using hashtag, by even creating the channels properly. So the discussions are all there, and you can also reply to the same, topic and all that. So it allows you to do that threaded discussion, which is quite important in inquiry-based learning because you want to track the discussion going on and you don't want to be losing out. Basically, we are trying to use Discord to kind of manage, how to put it, kind of manage the whole environment together, right? Because you don't need to move from one place to another. And surprisingly, if you really test on the bandwidth usage, Discord is actually not that bandwidth intensive. right? Contrary to a lot of popular beliefs. So if you install Discord app in your phone, for example, you will notice that it's actually quite lightweight. It's quite comparable to Telegram and even WhatsApp, but it's quite powerful. You can do a lot of things in Discord. So I think that's why students, especially in higher education, kind of prefer this, because all in one. They don't have to like scroll up and down. You get everything in one manageable access. So I'm not saying that Discord is the app for this inquiry-based learning. Again, I'm just telling you that it's one possible application, or one good application that you can use to for your inquiry-based learning implementation. Right. So right now, let's go to this. If you have not signed up for Discord, just go to Discord first. I'm going to show you the browser. If you have not, yeah, just sign up first. I'm going to give you a bit of time to sign up if you have not. Those of you who are following in mobile, if you have the time, you can download the Discord app first, because it's quite lightweight. Just register one account, right? And how to put it? And then I will give you to join. You don't have to download the Windows version. You can just use the web version. So you just go to Discord, register, and then use the open Discord in your browser, right? You don't have to download the app if you don't want to, because it will take some time to download and install. So just open Discord in your browser. It functions more or less like a Facebook. It's online, web-based. It can also be run on the app version. If you are using mobile phone, you can also download the app. But the mobile version, quite similar, just the view is a bit shrink, right? But the features are the same, right? Okay. So I'm going to give you some time first if you can register. Then once you have registered in discord.com, then you go to this link. That is my channel, right? bit.ly the koi. You will see koi fish, something like that, I think. Right? So hopefully you can try and join. So you sign up first, sign up at discord.com. For those of you who would like to try it later, it's fine. But if you can, those of you who can, you can just try and sign up, and then join my channel. This is I purposely create this for this workshop because I want you to see how it looks like bare, in a bare bone kind of situation where you get to see it. Okay, so sign up in discord.com first, and then join this server that I created. I have some here. I have some coming in already, so I'm going to show you how it looks like. Okay, Ken, it's okay. Take your time, because it feels a bit weird if I'm demonstrating without you participating in the Discord. That's why I purposely create one, so that some of you may join. Maybe not all of you will be able to join. It's fine, because I understand the constraint if you're using mobile phone and all that. But I just want to let you see how it works, right? In a proper format where everyone is able to see at least some interaction, rather than I just show you some sample where it was done before and all that. Okay, so I see some entering already, right? Probably those who just joined, you can just type something in the welcome column, and then just to introduce yourself maybe a bit, so that can just let you see how it works. Okay, good. Everyone is there already. Okay, all right. We have some interaction going on. If you would like to how to put it, if you would like to download the app, you can. But I mean the Windows version or Mac version, just that you need to install it first, so it will take some time. Okay, so you can use the web version first for now. Later on, you can explore it, right? Okay. So good. We have some already. So I'm going to show you how it looks like now. I'm going to show you how it looks like now. Yeah. Oh, the question about can we get this recorded session later? Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Okay, let me show you how it looks like now. Okay. Now, yes, we have quite a number of people in already. All right. Now on your screen now, you should be able to see the Discord that I asked you to join, which is the bit.ly, the koi. I purposely use this koi because it sounds like the fish, but because it's COI, right? So some people call it koi. So it's like the fish. Okay, this is like a demonstration kind of platform. You no commitment at all. Later on, you can just delete this or you can remove yourself from this. Fine. This is just for us to have that kind of demonstration or trial during this period. Okay, during this quick session. Okay, now we can see this. This is how it looks like in Discord. If you have not used it before, then just to give you a quick introduction, this is where you will see what we call as a server. If you have used MIRC or IRC, Internet Relay Chat, long time ago, then you are familiar with this server concept where, like, if you're using MIRC or IRC, you have to dial to the server. Once you go to the server, you get to go different channels, right? It's the same concept. So in fact, Discord was born out of that concept. The creator actually get inspiration from MIRC, and then they kind of like reintroduced this. That's why it's quite popular in the gaming community. But now one thing good is they are also promoting Discord for education. So they are adding more things into Discord for educational purposes. So now this is a server. So let's say you're in my server now, and in my server I have different channel, and every channel has its own hashtag. You can see hashtag and all that. So I can have category as well. So I can create different category like this, right? And then I can just add different channel. And for each channel, I can limit who can enter and who cannot enter. Like this one, if you edit channel, you can actually set permission who can enter, who cannot, and then invite specific student only to that particular channel. Means they go in, they just join that channel. They will not be able to see the whole thing, for example. Or they can see anything which is public, but certain part only their group can see, and then other group cannot see. So you can discover this right now, right? You can just click through. I just kind of like randomly create something. Now, I know some of you are looking at the right panel. You will see this online list. You can see a lot of people online, some registered but offline. All right, or you can even hide whether you don't want to tell people whether you're online or offline. You can just hide, which is by changing your status here at the bottom corner, bottom right corner. You can actually change it to invisible. Right now, if I change to invisible, you can see I'm in the offline list. But the one with the kind of like the crown is called the owner, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go back online just to let you see. Now, some student may do that. This is what I'm telling you earlier. So if you're using Discord for your classes, they will do like this. They will be kind of invisible. No harm, right? Those are the potential lurkers in a way. But once you do activities, you will see how they react, and then start poking them in a way. So if you see like this one are not reacting, for example, you can just poke them and then ask them to poke in a way, like direct message them or call them directly in the Discord panel, right? So let's say if I put alias, it's the same concept as Facebook. You can see a list of people to call. Let's say I want to call whoever, right? Let's say this one. It is hello. And then if you install this in your mobile phone, you will get notified. All right. So it's something good in that way. So also because it's quite transparent here. After all, we are talking about using this for your class, right? So your class student will be able to kind of know each other as well. So because it's quite open, right? As the admin, you have more control. So if you click on your server up here, if you go to server setting, You don't have to change the server region because we don't have it in Malaysia yet. They're using Singapore. So we just put Singapore. You will not be able to find Malaysia. But you can upload your icon and everything, all right? You can set system message channel, meaning when they come in, where do they go? So there usually is the welcome part, right? Then you can set roles. This is where I said just now, I have moderators in nation. Maybe I'll put some as so that you can see. Let's say Dr. Azida, I click on her name, and then if I click plus, I can add her as moderators now. And you can see how to put it, the color changes to red, right? So I can add, different row, or even I can add like now I can click initiators, for example. So they get different row. So this is where, like, for example, if you're doing grouping, like what happened in Dr. Hafiz's case, you have the Harry Potter theme, right? You have Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin, for example. So you can create this row, and then you assign the student according to their role. So they'll be very excited because they know they're fighting for the group, right? In that way. So again, I go back here. We go here to server setting up here. The role, you can add as many row as you want. Just click the plus sign here. You can add many, like champion of the week, for example. So you can use emoji. If you're using a phone, you can type the emoji out. Or if you don't have, you can go to emoji.com and then copy the emoji code and put it there, or copy the emoji down there, put it there, things like that. So these are just trying to lure a bit of this, Generation Z or Gen Z kind of thing lah. They're into all this. Okay, so I save. So I can have different role now. So let's say you can even assign multiple role. Let's say Dr. Azida, I want to add another role, dalam moderator, champion lagi. So I just add 2 roles. So you can imagine this to be used as a badges as well. So if you're using this for inquiry-based learning, of course you can change it to be like the best answer for the week, or maybe the most active group. You can create different labeling and different role and then assign to them. And students are going to treat this like something like a badge of the honor that they put on their chest and all that. So by the end of the semester, you will see who is the most active one and all that, things like that. So these are some of the ways for you to play around with the role. It doesn't have to be so serious like class rep, moderator, lecturer, things like that. Okay, so there's one for the role, just in case you are talking about that. And then server setting. If you are a bit more concerned about privacy, then you can actually limit the invite. Like invite here, just now I just invite everyone, but you can limit it. When you create the invite, you only give it to certain period, like this one just now. If you go to this and you click invite people, you can actually let the link expire in 7 days, or you can set how many number of users and all that. So expire after 30 minutes and all that. So let's say you are doing your class now in WebEx. So you can quickly share the link to your Discord, and then other people will not be able to join anymore because they don't have the invite link, things like that. So if you're a bit more concerned about other people joining your Discord, if you're making it open like this, then anyone can just join. Okay, or you can change the server setting or privacy setting even further. Like this one is more on the direct message, you can disable, but this is more on the direct message part. But the server setting part, moderation and all this, you can click it to the highest and all that. So in a way, your community is a bit more rigid in Discord. Okay, but to me, if you're beginning, you're just starting off doing this, try to be a bit more open first, right? Slowly you get the hang of it, and then you change the setting, you play around with the setting. I mean, I normally encourage that, because if you start off and then start to be worrying too much about all this, setting and all that, you get very overwhelmed and then you get lost. So go for the basic first, right? Slowly, as you get the hang of it, then you can play around with the setting. Now you can see now everyone is talking in a welcome medium, because this is where we kind of like a starting point of everything. Then I can have like COI framework. I can share my resources here, so you can label it like the resources zone, and then student will know that these are all resources. They are not supposed to ask question here, because they are all resources. So you can have a dedicated section where they can ask question about that. So what happened is, if let's say they want to refer to this, they can reply to this to you, but they don't have to like give your answers here, right? So these are like a resource center where you want them to refer to. But it's always good to have a different channel or different part for you to do all kind of things. Like now, if you go to exploration zone, I just posted one. What are the dangers of consumer electronic waste that we must consider globally? So I start off with a question, because inquiry-based learning, if possible, everything you start off is a question. Start with question, and then when students give you answers, you try to probe further with further questions, things like that. So just to get them into that thinking head, putting on their thinking head and start to be able to think more. So you can use a trigger, right? Like problem-based learning, you can use a trigger using a statement, a scenario, like a picture just now, like I showed you the car parking and all that, the prisoner parking and then all that. Or you can use a video like this. So they can watch this first, right? And then they start to explore. Normally, in inquiry-based learning, you don't expect an answer like what are the dangers of consumer electronic, but no, they don't just list the danger. You also encourage your learners to ask more questions based on your question. So they can ask like what type of danger according to region, maybe in Asia, in Europe and all that. So different region will have its own challenges. So some student might want to focus on that as well. So you allow that kind of inquiry to happen. It doesn't have to like everyone answering your question and then they just to list out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to be there to encourage them as well. Now, you can do this like a Discord, like now. So you're doing it in WebEx. Let's say you're teaching in WebEx, blah, 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 for let's say 2 hours or maybe 1 hour plus. Then you tell them, okay, now let's move to Discord. So you can just show Discord like this now, right? And then you post your question here, and then there's the respond here. Instead of they respond in the WebEx chat room or in a different platform. If you can use other platform, but what I'm trying to tell you is you have a structured Discord platform where you can have everything safe or everything populated in the same place. All right. So by the end of your class, after 3 hours, you have a full, answer lah, hopefully. All right. They can do their discussion elsewhere. They can even start their own discussion room and then come back to you here and all that. So I'm just telling you the features first. All right. Then in Discord, if you want to add channel, just click the plus channel. Yeah. There are text channel and voice channel. Text, of course, is very text-based, very forum-like. Voice channel is where you want them to talk, right? So if I will click this one, this is you can see the icon is different. Text channel is hashtag. The voice part is the the what do you call that? The speaker kind of icon. So if I go to this one, let's say it automatically starts, and you can join me now if you want to. If you click this CopyTM and everyone click on it, maybe 1 or 2 of you can join. But it's a bit echoey because if you're listening it from Discord, then you will see a different version. But anyway, this is video because maybe I screen share and see. Okay, it start with video if you want. Now because I'm using it in WebEx, maybe I turn off in WebEx for a while. Let me turn off my video and see whether it works. Because sometimes when you have to, yeah, now you can see me in Discord. So you can see it's within Discord itself. I'm not even asking you to install another app or whatever. So if you click on this, you can actually listen to me talking. But now, of course, now all of I have Dr. Zida coming in, but you can turn off your camera and all that. It's fine. Okay, this is more like a real-time chat like you have in WhatsApp, where how to put it, like WhatsApp video call and all that. So you can enable and disable that, and also I can screen share. If you're teaching, if you don't want to use WebEx, you can quickly start the session here and click share, and I can share my PowerPoint. Right? If I go live now, I'm teaching. Right? I'm actually teaching using my PowerPoint slides, and I can even, let all of you see me without even have to participate live. If you don't want to talk anything, you can just listen to me presenting now. Right? So this is quite like the beauty of Discord, where you have everything all in one. Okay. Okay, the slide, because I have to so now I have to switch my slide and all that. So if I move, and if you go to Discord, then you can see like I'm maneuvering, all right? I mean, I'm controlling, maneuvering, all right? So okay, anyhow, so this is what Discord is quite useful for. And if in the gaming community, they use this to communicate among themselves when they're playing certain like multiple, how to call it, multiplayer games like Dota or even Among Us and all that. This is where they let's say if you have 5 players, all 5 players will come here, and then as you, how to put it, as you are playing the game, you are actually discussing here as well. And or you can plan your strategy here and then go to your game. This is for gaming. But for our case, if you're using it for teaching and learning, then you can create this like a, of course I call it kopitiam because this is like an open space where you can talk about anything, right? Or you can do it like a teaching format, like what I'm doing now. So I can disable my video, so you can have screen sharing only, and it's broadcast live, and all your members in the group will be able to see the session. Okay. All right. So I actually disable the yeah. Okay. Let me just close this, disconnect, so that you don't see the echoey. Okay. Now that is with video enabled. If you don't want to enable video, then of course you just talk to using your voice. And Discord app, if you're using it only for voice, it's quite low bandwidth. It functions more or less like the popular app now, the Clubhouse app, where you only listen to the audio. So you can have everyone in the group, but you listen only to them talking without seeing the video. So this is the beauty of Discord, another way of generating uh, participation or active engagement using the feature that is available here. Of course, this is optional. If you do not want it to be there, you can always delete this, right? But to me, it's also good to have this kind of like a talking session, throughout your week. So you don't have to follow like what I did here, where I label according to different category of like resources orientation. You can also do it by week, right? Week 1, week 2, week 3, depending on how you want to label it. To me, week 1, week 2 is more LMS based, like your LMS where in a way like the typical LMS where you go in and then everything is presented like a weekly format. Now, you don't have to put everything here. Again, you can always supplement it with your existing LMS where you put your resources there or your submission platform there. But you use this as a platform to encourage the participation on your inquiry-based activities, learning activities, and also to have that social presence in the COI, in the, like this one, we always have this part, the cognitive presence and the teaching presence part. Teaching presence sometimes is missing when we're doing it online because they don't see you. Like in WhatsApp, they don't really see you. They just see your chat, right? It's very hard for you to have that teaching presence. But in Discord, because they know that they can actually talk to you directly using the video format and all that, so your teaching presence actually can be increased quite well in Discord. And then you have your material, right? Your content and everything, you can put it there. But this one is also quite good because in WhatsApp, yeah, it's quite sociable in a way. You have the chat coming in or that, but it's slightly unstructured. And in Discord, you can structure them nicely, and then you can add a bit of fun by using humor. Like they have this meme available already, and then some of you may be using this to communicate with your student and encourage them to participate because they feel like it's a safe space to talk, safe space to ask questions and all that. So it's quite critical as well. Whenever you use a platform like this, you don't turn it into like a prison, make it more open, in a way like you encourage healthy participation, make it a safe space, right? So that whenever they ask question and all that, you don't quickly judge them, try to encourage them to participate in this platform. The downside is, of course, because it's a platform like this, the downside is always the tendency of the fear of being wrong, being wrong. Our students are quite like that in a way. They don't dare to post anything here because they don't want it to be labeled as the stupid ones in a way. So, but it depends on your teaching presence again, your role as an educator. How do you encourage the safe space to talk, right? You want them to talk, but it has to be safe in this environment, so they know that I can tell anything here related to the learning content, of course, not everything under the sun, but They know that whenever they want to ask you a question about the topic or assignment given, for example, in this case, the question that you have asked them or posed to them, they know how to ask, and they know that it's safe to ask you, right? And you are always there. Okay. The good thing is, like, because it's online, so if you are making yourself available all the time, in a way, they know that you're available to talk. If you don't want, you can always put here, do not disturb, then they will know that you're busy. That's a good thing. In WhatsApp, they don't see that, right? The only thing you could do is probably just chat, okay, I'm busy now. But then not everyone will read the chat, right? In a way. Okay, now, I have not gone into the board part a bit. I'll go there. But if you are interested to use Discord, you can always click this one, add a server. If you don't want to add yet, you can explore. There are many public servers here. Some are mostly game related, but now, like I told you, Discord are venturing into education and science and tech, because I think they're going to ask for funding soon. So I think they're targeting Microsoft. So soon all these big companies will come in and pump in money, and they want to make it more educational. So if you search here, let's say if you type in what do we type in? Let's say I just type science. So relevant channel about that, science and technology. You can also join STEM helpers and students. So you can use Discord for your own inquiry-based learning session, but you can also encourage your student to enroll some of the servers so that they can also get resources for your course. So it's also part of this, the exploration phase of inquiry-based learning. Now, if you're using WhatsApp, right, whenever they want them to search something, so they will probably have to open up another browser and all that. So if everything is like in a platform like this, it'll be easier for you to kind of guide them, and then they'll feel more motivated to learn as well. So if I click this, I just click on that, and then I can just these are the rules, just look for around, and then I can join and all that. So this is you can see, like, this is like a, how to put it, a very proper channel for science and technology. Once you're happy, you can just join, right? So click join. Then it says you must complete a few steps before you are taking. So they normally will ask you something, right? So if I put complete, then I will have to like verify, blah, blah, blah. Let's say I don't want that, or I don't want to abide the rule. I think I have not done any of this, this one especially. So I don't want to verify, for example, then I don't want to join. If you want to verify, then you can join. In my case, because this is a different account, I created today, so I don't want to link it with my phone number because I use it for another account. But anyhow, what I mean here is, because if you're asking a student, chances are they will register with a phone number. If they don't want, then they can't join this particular server, so they can always find elsewhere. But again, you can see, even if I am not completing, I can still see the resources here, right? You make use of the resources here. Again, you can find elsewhere. There's so many. You can see the numbers here. They're quite a lot, all right? And you can create your own server. If you add a server or create a server, they will ask you want to for gaming, school club, study group. Normally, we'll go for these two, school club or study group. For course-based, we go for study group because it will automatically create some of the channel for you. Let's say I create another one now. So I click study group. It will say for me and for my friend, for club or community. Assuming your friend here is your student, or you can be for a club. So let's say I click this one. So I just call, let's say, class IBL class, create. Now I have one, and because I'm using a template for study group, it auto creates the text channel. If I don't like this, I can right click, I can delete, or I can edit. So let's say this one, I can say activities, I can rename it, save. If you're using mobile phone, the same, just that mobile phone, because the view is a bit small. So if you want to do any changes like this, it's better to go for the web-based version or the app version. Download the Windows app or Mac OS app. All right. So this is starting, and then you can change the setting and everything up here lah. All right. Go to the server setting, and this is where you change the picture, the roles and everything. So you can start exploring this first. Okay, if you want to start. So go back to our core universe. All right.
Chua,
Yes.
hello.
Yeah.
There's one question
Oh yeah.
in the chat box.
Let me see. Which one? The link has expired. Okay. if a student is trying to converse with you during class, would the conversation going to be heard by the rest of the classroom? You mean in the talking zone? Yeah, everyone will hear you, unless you set it to a private. Means you are talking only to the person, like a direct message kind of thing. So because this is like a how to put it, like a space for open inquiry. So we kind of encourage it to be open. That's why the talking zone here, right? If you notice, once I talk, right, a lot of people can talk, but of course you can always edit the channel, and you can limit number of users. Like now, how many users you can limit to that channel that talk, or you can set permission. All right, if it's a private channel, then you click private channel, and then you only allow certain people to come in. Like let's say add members of role, I only add let's say the first three here. If I add, only the first three here can enter the room. So that's one way to control the chat. But if you're talking about openness, yes, whenever someone is asking you anything, everyone can hear it, provided they are there, meaning they are also online. If you're not online, then they won't be able to hear it. All right. Okay, let me just save this. Anything else did I miss? Yeah, I think that's all right. Somebody asked me would like to take a 5 minute. Okay. Yeah, I think no break, I guess. This will be fine. Should be fine. Any other question just in case? I just want to go to board part. I mean, by then I think we are almost done. Just to let you know how it works. Okay. Now that is the Discord part. I don't want you to be like, oh, too overwhelmed with the Discord part alone. You also have to go back to our main topic here, which is the inquiry-based learning. So how do you encourage inquiry-based learning in Discord? Is like you can label it like this, but it's always good to have the every task or every activities with a title. Like this one is e-waste problem. So you create a different channel for different problem. Let's say next week I want to talk about something else. I can say like, let's say the Gen Z issue. All right. So I can create another one here. So you see every session, every topic is isolated or is separated from a different thread. So it allows you to monitor this easier, so that you don't lose it, right? And again, like now, I say what are the dangers and all that. So if I were to ask my student to participate, then of course, like in your case now, if you want to answer, then you can watch this video and then you can type your answer here. Let's say, what about Asia, for example? So different people can just type, and then if I want to nudge anyone, I can just say, what do you think? Who's here? Maybe I ask Wendy, what do you think, Wendy? So things like that. So, or you can group them, all right? Like that just now, I can actually group like this one. This is just sample, okay? So if you have groupings, like I told you just now, different groups, you can nudge by groups, like now, okay? The whole group will get notified. So if there are 10 people in that group, all 10 will get notification about my question, all right? So it helps you to really structure this inquiry-based learning to happen in a more structured manner, in a way, so that if you do this in LMS or even sometimes in WhatsApp and Telegram, it goes a bit overwhelming, the chat coming in, different groups and all that. Even though now Telegram, you can do folder, you can create folders and add chat. To me, Discord is still better to manage all those chat. I'm talking about using this because we are probably, not meeting our student yet. So so the chances of you to actually nudge them physically there is a bit hard for the moment at the moment. So but once we are back to the normal in-person teaching and all that, for example, you can always use this as a blended learning environment. So you can have some activity done in the physical part, and then you move it to your Discord realm, right? Try it out. I don't know, because based on my experience, the moment you are dealing with all this kind of generation, and then if you start to introduce something like Discord, they will be slightly more interested to answer. But again, no one size fits all. Some student may not like this, right? But it's always good to try it out and see whether your student react to it. If they are giving you positive feedback, then you might want to continue using this. All right. But I personally, like, if I continue, I have like both end as well. Some students really love it. Some don't really like it because they're so used to WhatsApp already. But slowly you can see they move towards it because, you know, they see the value of having a place where they can communicate easier and try to put everything in one, all in one kind of thing. All right. Now, another beauty of Discord will be the bots. You can see on the right panel here, I have a few bots helping me. All right. I have classroom bot. I have QOTD is question of the day, and then quiz bot. So these bots are all available for free. Some you can pay if you want to for you know, like premium access, but you don't need to use the premium access because the free one is good enough. All right. So you can invite all these bots. The concept of it's like, you know, if you're familiar with IRC again, MRC again, where back in those days when you're managing a channel, a chat channel in IRC, you can create bots. You know, bots that moderate, bots that kick you out, and all that. Those same concept. Just that now the bots are more intelligent. You can do a lot of things. Like you can use like the classroom bot I have here on my right here, managing my Discord, so that if anyone says something really bad, he will help me moderate and he will kick the person out, for example. But I didn't set the words lah. Okay, but you can have this classroom bot to manage your classroom in a way. All right, I'll explain the features in a bit. And then I have QOTD is question of the day, where every day at a certain time I set, like now I set at 9 a.m. I think, just now, it will pop up a questions, random question like this one. If you go to QOTD, there's a question of the day. What's your favorite type of day, weather, time, and something like that. So it's like, you know, let's say if I type here, what is your favorite type of day? Sunny day, something like that. So you don't have to how to put it. QOTD is like something for you to have, and then the question will be pop up without you having to be there. So it's like if you're talking about inquiry-based learning, then you can use this to program it to ask only certain question that you want. Meaning, if you go to question of the day QOTD, later on you can go in and then edit the questions. You can type in your own question. So every time at 9 a.m. at a certain point, they will pop up the questions. All right. So the student will be able to answer. So they can also reply like this. Let's say rainy day, something like that. So just random. All right. So it's like, how to put it, helping you to ask question when you're not there or when you don't have the time to do it, things like that. Okay. Another one is quiz board, right? If I were to let me try and see whether I can type this. I'm not sure if I have it. Let me try if you want to type the quiz, huh?
So there's another question.
Another question
in the chat, but yes.
The chat. Will Discord be good for quick small group discussion during class? Will the lecturer need to manually assign groups, or can they create small groups on their own? If you have it Discord for a class space like this, the whole class is having one Discord already, then you can actually create a different voice channel for different groups. Okay, like this one. Let's say I create another categories for you to see. Let's say I put here groups. Okay, you can create the groups first, and then you create a voice channel. So let's say this is group A, and then you can create another one, group B. Okay, for example. So group A, like just now, if I told you, sorry, if you click on this edit channel, you go for permission, then click it is private, and then add members. So what happened is the members of the group will be added first. So usually to make your life easier, you assign the role awal. I mean, in the beginning of your course, you assign the role earlier. Like group A, they will be assigned the role already. So when you add members, you just take group A, like this one, let's say moderators, for example. Then easier for you. If you don't want to do this, then you type, oh sorry, you tick the name, not type. Tick the name like this, like everyone in this group A. Let's say I add this in group A. So these are group A, right? Including you lah, of course, because you can access it. So these are group A. So meaning whenever whenever other students try to click group A, they will not be able to join the discussion because the group A is set only for those people, only for those people. So in your question just now, you don't have to manually assign if you don't want to. Actually, you can just create the group first, and then the student will join, and then you assign the role. But it would be good to do like what I told you, the role earlier. You know, at the beginning of your class or semester, you do this. You label them nicely. Let's say row. You can name it a different name if you want to. Group A. So let's say orange. Save. So whoever. Oh yeah. Group A, no space. Okay. No space. So whoever are here online in your class, for example, you can just quickly click on the name and then plus row, group A, and all that. Okay. If you have a lot of students, then you might want to assign some moderators. So some student will help you. Usually, I normally, if the group is too big, let's say if I have 100 plus, I will appoint 3 like class rep. So I will assign them the moderator role. So the moderator will be able to help you to group the students as well. So you save your time. But once you have your group ready in the beginning of the semester, then every classes, like what you're trying to do here, you can ask them to come to Discord and do their own discussion. It will not be disturbing other group because they're only in their own channel, right? They're talking to themselves only in their own channel. If you have 10 channel, the 10 channel will be running simultaneously without disturbing each other, right? So in a way, because you limit it to the person only, unless it's an open one. If you have another channel where it's open like Kopitiam just now, then everyone will hear everything because they can go in, right? If they don't want to listen to it, they can just leave the channel, right? But depending on what you're using, if you're using WebEx, the same thing can be done using breakout rooms, right? The thing about breakout room is it happens like in isolation somewhere, and then you have to go room by room, right? But if you have in Discord, if you have 10 group, I can just quickly click group A, see what's happening here, right? And then see what's happening here, and then I leave, and then I go to group B. Everything is in once. It's like I can monitor multiple groups. It's like within my view. So in breakout room, you kind of like they're doing somewhere somewhere else, right? Okay, but same concept as breakout room. Okay, I hope I answered that question. So I'm going to try to pop up the quiz actually. Give me some quiz board just to let you see how it works. Yeah, I agree, Dr. Christine, because the grouping here is very systematic, and then because I like the fact that you can assign the color and role everything, so it's quite easy for you to see as well. Which group is missing, which group is here, and really helps you to visualize the environment easily. All right, I'm gonna go for this.
Okay, Mr. Key.
Yes.
Since we're talking about grouping, right, and then
Yeah.
the comparison between groups on WebEx and Discord.
Yeah.
Now, just now you mentioned, those who are using Discord on the mobile phones, what are the limitations that they would have compared to those who are on computer?
The view, same like WebEx, I think, because like WebEx, if you're using the app version, the view is very limited. You don't get to see like the tiles, and probably you only see the active speaker only. And sometimes the screen sharing, if you move it to horizontal in Discord, it kind of restricts the view. I think the main problem would be the view, the orientation of the view. But if you are talking about discussion, you can always ask students to turn off the video, just talk, just use their voice, so they can still discuss. And if one person need to show something, so that will be the only person who share the screen or something. So the main difference will be that the other features, even like talk and all that, are all in the app itself, so it's quite friendly. But if they are not comfortable with the mobile version, they can always use the web version. So web version means they use their phone, but instead of running it from the app, they run it from the browser, which is also quite similar, like Google Chrome on the phone. But again, the limitation to me will be the orientation of the view. It's a bit like some parts are covered, and then you only see one face, you don't see everyone, as compared to a desktop version. Just like WebEx as well, right? If your students are using WebEx, using app, you notice like they always tell you, I don't know where to click the chat or not, because the view is blocked. They have to move. So it takes a bit of familiarization for familiarization for the app for if you're using the mobile. But I think if you introduce it, I think they're quite easy to use. It's not that difficult. Yeah, quite easy to use. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I have another question.
Sure.
Now, will it work better on slow connections? Because WebEx is quite difficult for those, let's say, who are from remote areas, you know. So
Yeah.
just now you mentioned that Discord is actually working. It works better on low bandwidth.
Yep.
It takes up
works better.
less space.
I not just less space in a way, it's a speed. I think I don't know how it works, but somehow the loading is quite good. But again, my testing last semester was only on I think about 50 students. I don't know whether it's the same thing when it's beyond 50, but maybe I should try that this coming. I mean, I'm not teaching. I normally will bump into my colleagues, so I will just ask them to try, and then I will just check it out and all that. But if it's 50, surprisingly, the loading is okay, and then student can hear you clearly. So they can turn off the video. The quality is quite good in terms of the voice, transmitting the voice through the Discord app as compared to WebEx. I mean, maybe because WebEx, they have to load everyone, the faces. So that disturbs the bandwidth a bit, but Discord seems to work well. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, in a way, based on what I've tested lah. But I'm not sure if maybe you all can try for this coming semester, and then try it out one round and see whether it's okay. The only thing that will be a challenge to me when you start to introduce Discord to those who are not familiar would be the navigational part. Like I told you, they need some time to figure out how to navigate in the app version. But once they get the hang of it, you can also try teaching using this voice channel and see whether the quality is okay. I have like 3 to 5, the one that I tried last semester, 3 or 5 in a really remote area. So normally when I do Zoom or WebEx, they always tell me they cannot hear me, whatever. But when I run it on Discord, fine. I mean, they have no problem. So you might want to try it out. I'm not saying that it's could be applicable to all, but you might want to try it out. But as far as I know, bandwidth-wise, Discord is known to consume less. Unless, of course, you ask them to play a lot of videos and all that. I think that applies to any platform. If the moment you ask them to play a lot of videos like this, of course, it will consume more data. But if it's minimal, like pictures or even voice, I think will be okay. Right? You can ask like Prof. Karim why he curate everything in Discord, because to him it's quite structured. And then but teaching wise, I'm not really I have not really tried fully, like teaching fully in Discord. I mean, using the voice part or the video part, but I normally use it for presentation, small group presentation. Like if you want student to present, instead of present it in WebEx, you can ask them to present in Discord, group by group. That's another way of using it. Okay, but you can try. Right? There's another question here. I'll try it out this semester because student will. Yeah, I mean, you can try. So far, I think because it's easily movable from voice to video and all that. And if you notice, whenever I click on this thing, you can see that the voice bar is always green and quite powerful. I rarely get red. I'm not sure about you. So you can try out, like if you click on this, the talking zone, if you click any of it, the green color actually signify the quality of it, the speed or the quality of your voice channel. So if you start to see yellow, or you can start to see like red all the time, then maybe it's not really that good. But so far I'm okay. Okay, all right. So but you can, I mean, these are for you to try it out. Okay, all right. Let me, where was I just now? The board. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, there's another question from Dr. Fizi. If I use the hashtag as a topic for the course that I'm teaching, and each topic I have group discussion, can I have the groups for each of the hashtags so the student can always go back to the conversation? Yes, in fact, whenever you go here, you go anywhere, whatever hashtag you have created, let's say I'm in hot channel, I'm here, right? I can always hashtag another channel, like let's say Koi framework. So I can go back to the thread. So when they click, they will always go back here. So if you're doing a voice channel like this, because this is a voice channel, you can put a note there using hashtag or this is connected. The voice, because it's not text-based, you have to put it in the discussion. But again, you're talking about group discussion in a text form, for example. You can always label it with using the hashtag. This one also, I think. Let me try if I the other day. So you can label it like this. So student when they know that this discussion is related to that one, so it will be good. But if you're talking about text, anything is hashtag based, so you can hashtag all the time. Let's say now, like now, refer to, if I'm here, I can say refer to QOTD. So they will know, like, they don't understand this, they can refer to this, they will go back here, things like that. So you can create as many hashtags as you want. So that's why I said if you go by week, you can go by topics, every subtopic and all that. So yeah, but again, I think not too overwhelming in a way. Don't put too many, right? But as long as it's scrollable, it's okay lah. Because after all, this one you can go as many as you want. Just that not too many, because they'll be overwhelmed. All right. Okay. Yeah. I hope I answered that. Okay, I like the idea. We can. Yep. I think because of this Discord thingy, I have a feeling Telegram is slowly copying. All right, you can see just before this, Telegram has no folder base and all that. They start to introduce that. I think Telegram is the only one which is quite proactive in adopting new features. WhatsApp is quite slow, like they don't really bother what's happening. Like people ask them to add this and that, they don't really bother. But for Telegram, somehow it's quite. I think it's getting more and more similar in a way, because if you see the interface for Discord, like now, you can see all this chat server here. If you open your Telegram, on your side here will be the folders, right? Folder 1, folder 2. So they are trying to copy. I think soon they will within the folder you can create another list like this. I think so. But in a way, Discord is already there, all right, doing all this. So I think you can try it out. If it works. I just want to show you how the quiz works. Actually, let me just type this. Because just now I somehow deleted my link. Okay, let's say we go for this one. Okay, if you install Quizboard, I have a Quizboard, quiz robot in the Discord, so I can go somewhere. Let's say I want to play the quiz here. So if I were to type this one, equal play, and then the numbers represent the quiz number, which I will explain later. But if I play here, then the quiz board will help me to manage the quiz. So right now, you guys can try. You can go to Hot Challenges and try. What is the national sport of Japan? A, sumo. B, football. C, karate. 4, judo. So you just type your answer and see. Just want you to. Oh, nobody is answering. Anyone? Okay, try maybe go to Hot Challenges and see. Like now, I'm not controlling because I think this game is a bit too fast. Anyhow, you can try. How many meters does an Olympic swimming pool span? 1, 200. These are just sample of how quizzes can be run in Discord. Okay, nobody's playing. Maybe oh yes, 1. Which of the following was evidently invented by a German? I don't know. Maybe number 1. You have to type the answer, yeah, by the way. Oh yeah. Okay, you see you can type or you can just click on the answer. By the way, you can see the score here. So it creates a leaderboard as well. I mean, I just randomly click. Okay, I can randomly click. Click on the answer. All right. Okay, anyhow. Okay, you can see the gamification part coming in. You have the leaderboard and then the icon. Where were the 2000 Olympic? Beijing, right? So click. So you have to click. Sorry, you cannot type. You have to click on the option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. Okay. Anyhow, this is how it works. So Quizboard, this one is I just randomly pick some quiz from the database that they have. You can also create your own quiz, right? So Now, let's say you can have this kind of thing without you managing, and then you can tell student the quiz will start from what time to what time. All right, you can set the duration, and then you just call it by using this command, right? So you call it to your bot, and then your bot will manage it, and then your robot will you see? I have now like 3, so you will see a leaderboard, and then you can see all this thing. Okay, now this is how it looks like. If you go to Quizbot, to use Quizbot, the link is quizbot.xyz up here, right? If you go here, it will you have to have your Discord server done first. So you can create your Discord server first, then only you come here. All right. So because you have to set up your quiz board and then invite the bot into your server. So if I click this, it will ask you which one I want to invite. So let's say I invited it to the Coins universe. Now I invite it to IBL class, another one that I created just now. So I continue and then authorize. I'm a human. If I go to this one, now I have this, you see, Quizbot hop into the server. So I added Quizbot into this server now, my new server. So once I have the Quizbot here, I can use command to call it, just like how all this IRC works. So once you're done, you go back here and then you create your quizzes. Go to quizzes, create a new quiz. So you can type your quiz like what is COI, and then you can this is the main one. COI. This is the question, right? So what is COI? So maybe I just put here community of inquiry. Blah blah blah, and then you tick the correct answer. Okay, and then you can set the point as well. By default is 500 and 1000, depending on if you want to gamify this. You can also set the time if you want. It's more or less like Kahoot, right? But then it's done in Discord, so save. Then you can add as many questions as you like. Blah blah blah. You save. Okay. Can you see your? Sorry, question number 2 is invalid because no question. Okay. You can see that your quiz has a number up here, right? 9433271. So in your Discord, if I go back here, if I go back to my COI, if I go to COI framework, for example, I just have to type equal play and then the number. This has no question. Wait, have I published it? Well, didn't notice this. Save. Okay, now it's published. Let me see whether just now I have not published. Sorry about that. Now it should be playing. Okay, now I can delete this. You don't have to delete actually, but then because sometimes it's too messy, so you might want to delete. So I just play. Now it will tell you like the board is controlling the question that you just created just now. So yeah, what is COI? Wrong spelling. Never mind. Okay, let's say I type this one. So it's running, all right? It's running on its own. So you can create your own quiz and pop it up, every time you want. So you can do this in between your session, your WebEx session as well, or your Zoom session as well. As in to come back before you wrap up your whole session. Okay, let's do a quick quiz. So you can do it in your dedicated, all this track. Okay, so I have a video on that. So but anyhow, it's quite straightforward. You just have to get yourself familiar with the Discord app first. Then slowly you can introduce the bots. The bots are all optional, not really, how to put it, not really compulsory to use the robots, the bot or the AI. But once you're familiar with the Discord feature, then you can slowly add them in. So the concept is you invite the bot in, and then the bot will do whatever it needs to do, all right, to help you. Okay. So if I go to this website, if you want to explore more on the bot, you can go to top.gg. Okay, you can go to top.gg. this is where you search a lot of bots, right? So if you type quiz, there are many bots for you to try. Some are very specific to games or anime. You don't want to use that. Just use all this, like I use QuizBot. This one is a new one, Game Quiz. There are also Trivia Dream, and you find the suitable one to let you try. So if I click on this one, I just have to invite. So every time you click invite, it will ask you to invite to which channel. Like this one, it will ask you to invite. Where do you want to invite it to? Invite means you put it in your channel, and then you will manage it. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? I think I'm done actually. The board but the inquiry-based learning is how like I told you, can follow the four phases. Start off with orientation, right? With all the topic you want, and then go for the investigation phase. Like this one, you start to give more question, right? And then let them discuss in this platform. Okay. Any question?
Yeah, there are two questions, Mr.
Wait, let
Chua.
me check. Bots are real robots, not people, asking with regards to privacy and security of the servers. Well, it's robots in a way, but it's AI driven. Meaning to say, yeah, I agree with you in the sense of privacy, where when you invite bots in, you have to check the reliability of the bots. Like that's why I normally, like the one I added here, I save ones, because these are all by Discord, means they will not save any of your data. All right, meaning like just now, if you can see just now, once the quiz is off, in fact, I didn't pay for the premium, because if you want to save everything, you have to pay for the premium. They don't really lock your detail. They just get your name, your username like this, because they just want to call for the leaderboard, and then that's it. After the game is over, it's gone from the server lah, their side. But you still keep it here because you might want to have a record of the text, because all these are texts, not really like an app within an app. It's text based where the robots are posting, right? So you just keep it, but they don't really stop. But I do agree with you in terms of privacy concern. So you might want to check first from the top.gg just now. Make sure the comments, if you read the comment, they will tell you. Let's say sometimes some fake ones, they could be, when you invite it into your channel, the bots are actually using it for different purposes, so you have to be careful. That's why I don't really encourage you to try bots if you're not familiar yet. Once you're familiar, then you try. But the one that I can safely say is this one, QuizBots. You can try this. It's safe, all right? And also the classroom bot. This one is for moderation, where you can actually moderate your class if you need it. If you don't need it, then it's fine. Moderation as in if you have too many people, like 200, 300 in your server, like your page here, you need some bot to help you to monitor, because you cannot be here 24/7, right? You cannot be looking at it 24/7, so you need a bot to kind of monitor. All right. But if you lock your privacy for the group, then it's fine, because nobody can come in anyway. But if you're making it open, then you might want to have a classroom bot to help you monitor the coming in and out of people. Or some people, they might be posting in fact offensive languages and all that, so you might want to use that. Do you use Discord for asynchronous session? Yeah, it's popular. It's also very popular in asynchronous session. In fact, most of it are asynchronous. Like this one, all this thing, like this kind of activity, which I normally would do in a forum base, but I can also do it in a Discord platform. You can always do it in a Discord platform as well, if you don't want to use the forum in your LMS and whatever. The thing why I do it here for discussion, like a forum chat, is this function, the groupings. And I because when I group the students, directly in Discord, I can just do like this, call out the group, which is very hard for you to kind of monitor your LMS sometimes, right? Because you have to like set the setting, like this thread is for this group and all that. Too many things to control. And sometimes in your forum you lose track as well, who is talking to which and all that. So right now, the moment I click on some name, if I add Wendy, for example, to this group, when I click on her name, I can see which group she belongs to. Let's say I assign her to group A. So when I click on it, I will know like, oh, Wendy is in group A. In fact, the color will tell me. right? In fact, the color will tell me. So let's say I have 30 students. I have 26 now. So I am supposed to have 30, for example. So by a quick glance, if I have the color, let's say one group is 5, a quick glance I will know who is missing. Let's say which group is missing, or that group, 2 people are missing, because it gives you the visualization, which is missing in a lot of LMS, right? Because in LMS, everyone seems the same, right? The name is very hard. Here, at least you get to see, okay, somebody is not here and all that, things like that, okay? Any other similar tools for inquiry-based learning? Inquiry-based learning, you can do it without tools. You can do it using any platform that you can gather the feedback, right? I think a lot of tools can be done. You can do it in Microsoft Teams as well. If you're using Microsoft Teams, you can actually, because Teams and Microsoft Teams, you can create the teams, right? And then every team will have a chat, kind of like a chat feature, and then with the live meeting function and all that, so they can go to the individual kind of like group. That's one. Padlet as well, I think fine. Padlet can also be used for inquiry-based learning. You can always start off with a big question, right? And then each group will have its own shelf format. If you have used Padlet before, then of course, you know what I'm talking about, right? Padlet, the shelf format. So every group will post their answers there, and then you start to prompt them with more questions and all that. So how to put it? If you're talking about tools, anything can be used for inquiry-based learning, as long as you know how to structure it according to the big questions, we call it, and then the phases I told you just now, from orientation to exploration and then to investigation. So you have to be comfortable with that, because in inquiry-based learning, sometimes you don't get one single answer, and then you have to be very comfortable of responding to students in a way, because like now you're in this Discord, and then a lot of you are still exploring. Imagine if you have like, let's say more than 50 students, and then whenever you ask a question and then all 50 are responding, just like in Telegram or in WhatsApp, you get overwhelmed, and then you have to entertain and read them one by one. So that's one of the reason why inquiry-based learning, if you go for the open one, it's very rarely used. You still go for the PBL type, the PBL type, which you kind of limit the scope a bit, which is okay, because you want to encourage them to really gear their answers or question towards that kind of topic, not too far, right? Okay. Any other question? Okay, do you use IBL for teaching only or for assessment there? Well, if you do IBL as assessment, can you give some ideas on how to? Yeah, it's if you're using IBL for assessment, I think it's quite similar to how a lot of people are using problem-based learning in assessment. Same concept, where your rubric has to be clear, because chances are you don't get one single answer, right? Maybe you have some possible answers already in your marking scheme or in your rubrics, but the rubric for PBL is normally quite open, right? You can see, like, as long as they tell you how good they are in exploring or investigating, what tools are used and all that. So you have your criteria set out. Your criteria is clear, right? They use a scientific method, for example, if you're teaching sciences in problem-based learning, so you have like a scale of 5, things like that. So your rubric has to be clear in what are you measuring in terms of the processes that they've gone through in deriving the answer or in getting the answer, or you want the output only, right? But inquiry-based learning is not just about the output, it's the processor, the middle part just now that I show you. It's the messy part that you need to capture. So your rubric has to be really, really well planned. Do you want them to prove that they actually discuss, for example? So your rubric will say, discussion. So you put that, provide evidences of your discussion, for example. Then you give a scale again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So depends on what you want to look at. If you're looking at that, for example, then that will be used for assessment. So yeah, I think it's quite similar to PBL usage and all that. So yeah, as long as you have your mind along that line, then it's fine. Just the inquiry-based learning, to me, is a big umbrella. And then you see people use spatial learning, discovery learning, what else, problem-based learning, and all this. They are the same, more or less, right? Because it goes back to the inquiry-based part, where how comfortable you are with that. Like I told you, if your PBL is the middle one, with the guided questions. If you go to the extreme one, the openness, where students derive their own question, they get their own output that's really extreme, which are done quite quite widely used now in a lot of setting. That one would require you to have a different rubrics, right? The level of question that they ask. You can even use Bloom taxonomy as your guidance. The question that they generate are really, really high order or lower order. How do they derive to the answer and all that. So these are part of your rubrics. Okay. Any other questions? So you can use IBL as an assessment, but I normally see it more as a teaching approach, but I think it has been widely used for assessment. You can search in Google Scholar inquiry-based learning for formative assessment, especially. They are widely used. Any other questions, just in case I miss out? I think we are done. You can get the slides. Yeah, just to wrap it up before I close. If you compare this with the escape room that we talked about last week, time and effort, I think this one is more, because inquiry-based learning is not easy to do. You really need some time to plan the task. But if you're familiar with PBL already, that's a good start, because inquiry-based is just a matter of pushing it a bit further by making the openness a bit, giving student more control. But in terms of your control, your own management of the whole discussion, your whole inquiry, that also takes a bit of effort, so a bit more challenging. Technical skills, because inquiry-based learnings are pretty much governed by questions, so you don't really need to use a lot of platform. Like you don't have to, like in escape room the other day, you have to design the room and everything. In this case, you don't have to. You just have to do the first part where you have the question ready and everything. You just learn how to push it to your student through whatever means. It doesn't have to be Discord, but today, of course, we're talking about Discord. You can always use other platform, but it's just a matter of you using the tool to push the question to your student, and how do you make it visible. To me, all these tools are helping you to make learning visible, the process visible. Like if you ask them to go back and discuss, they can claim that they discussed, but there's no proof, right? So if you force them in a way to discuss in Discord, having their own dedicated channel where only their group can go in, then you can see, the discussion going on. They can provide evidences of what they have found and all that. So I think it's just a matter of managing all this. So the technical skill part, I think, is still quite okay. But again, the first one will kind of bog you down a bit, so you might you might feel like it's so overwhelming. But trust me, try Discord first and see how it works. You don't have to use Discord for inquiry-based learning if you don't want to. You can just use it for your own management of your class or your course and see how it works. And I will be happy to see your output as well. I mean, just share your outcome in your papers or whatever. Then I'll be happy to read your papers. Okay. Any other things? You can get the slides from here. Did a YSM WoW 2. Just to get the slide that I covered today. Nothing much actually, the slides. I just cover the essence because I don't like to put everything in slide as well. But just get the essence and then see whether you can apply IBL. In this case, we are talking about Discord. You can always use other tools. That's it. I think any other questions, just in case I miss any? We only have 5 minutes to go.
So far, no question.
No more? Yep.
But if let's say you would like to ask any question, please unmute yourself and
Yeah,
see where else can ask Mr. Chua now.
No.
We are very happy to know that participants saying that they are looking forward to using Discord next week, right away. Mr. Chua, right away.
Yeah. Why not, right? Why not?
Just give it a try.
Yep.
And now we know that Discord can be used to support not only cognitive presence, but when we are talking about community of inquiry model in your earlier slide. So we know now Discord can also be used to support teaching and social presence as well.
Yep. True.
And more importantly, it can encourage healthy participation, and also can help the educator to plan and design meaningful learning experience for the students.
Yeah.
Okay. If there's no question, Okay, can we have a look whether there's any other question? No question, Mr. Chua?
No more. Okay, good,
No
good, good.
more? Okay. So with that, we thank you very much to Mr. Chua Kim Man for an
No problem.
enlightening presentation. And let's give Mr. Chua Kim Man a big round of applause by clicking the reaction button on your WebEx. Yes. Okay. Okay, just as a reminder to all ESM staff, we have shared in the chat box the link to the evaluation form. Kindly click on the link and make sure that you complete the evaluation form in order for you to get the CPD points. So if you miss this, please join our next webinar. Okay. Any other final message from you, Mr. Chua Kim Wan?
I think just try. I know when it comes to tools, like I always say, just choose the one that you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
If after you explore Discord, if it's not comfortable to you, then don't force yourself. All right. Don't need to have this. They call it the FOMO symptom, fear of missing out. So don't worry about that. Could use Padlet even.
Yeah. We're also happy to know that some of the participants saying that Discord is way better in terms of structuring the topic, compared to other apps and all that. Okay.
Yep.
So with that, we thank you again, Mr. Chua Kim Man. Hope to meet you again in other webinar that we are going to plan in the near future. So with that, thank you very much, Mr. Chua Kim Man. Again, please give him a very big round of applause by clicking the reaction button on your WebEx. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tuan. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care.